Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity, y'all, to either make money in the market or to just learn from the market, right? But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth in the stock market. It's just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX, and I normally, y'all know, I always like to go to the 4 o'clock candle. So looking at it on our 4 o'clock candle, which is about here, the VIX was finding support at the 1208 area, but it looks as if we were moving to the upside. We were making, it seems like it's going up. However, it's getting rejected at the ATR trail and stopping this 50 EMA. So it would need, we tested it 1, 2, 3 times. We could very well continue to the upside, meaning if the VIX goes up, the SPY normally comes down. So for the VIX, we need to stay, support is again back around the 1208, 1216. If we break where we are, which is under the 5 EMA, if we break under the 5 EMA, I got to get my words right. If we break under the 5 EMA, then it's going to take us back to 1213, and which is the 20 EMA. If we come back to the 1213, we could very well test the 1208 area again. However, to the upside, because we've tested this area of resistance a few times, we could very well come back to the 1227, 1232, 1236, 1240, and again at 1244 to the upside, meaning if the VIX goes up, the SPY normally comes to the downside. Now, to the downside, it will need to break under the 1208, and we could very well come back down to around the 1203, or we can come back and test this 1191 or 1184. So I would definitely say trade carefully today. We do have economic data. Well, I think it's the Fed minutes that's coming out today, so that can move the market in either direction, or expect volatility, right? That happens often. So let's go to the SPY and see what we can, what picture the SPY is painting for us today, right? So the SPY, normally, I had it marked at 530.57 as support and 530.96 as resistance. But as you can see, y'all, it's creating another gathering spot for us right here at the 530.35 range. You see, price keeps coming back to this area, right? We are under the 5 EMA, which is at 530.50. So SPY will need to break above 530.50, above 530.57, in order to, continue, go back to the upside, and above the 550.82, which is right kind of close to the 550.85. So the 50 and the 20 are really, really close to one another. And I don't know if you noticed this crossing. The light blue line and the white line here is my 5 and 50 EMA. So normally when that crosses, it's a bearish signal, meaning it's to the downside, and we are under the 5 EMA. So I would say if I trade the SPY today, I would definitely trade carefully. I will watch those levels of 530.50, 530.82, and above 530.96. It definitely needs to close above the 530.96. So I'm going to put an alert there to let me know if the SPY decides to break to that area, then we have broken through levels of resistance, and we can come back and retest, this 531.70 here. But know that we're going to have trouble at 531.34, right? So to the downside, we have 529.43 as support, and that's looking at it on this 30-minute chart. On the 1 hour, I'll ask what stops this, what's keeping it from moving lower. We are right very much close to this ATR trail and stop, which is at the 530.23. So right now, that is our support area, and we need to definitely watch that. And SPY, the ATR did change. It looks as if the ATR for the SPY as of now is $3.82 on a daily basis, and it looks like we've been consolidating here for a while. I drew this channel, or somewhat of a channel, because it seemed like we were just moving higher, so I would definitely just know that we could very well come up and test this 536 range, very much so. However, we need to stay above the 5 EMA on the daily chart, which is above 528.96. So I would say if I traded the SPY, I would definitely be careful, because again, it is trading within a zone, and we have made new highs, and that's kind of, are we going to come back and just sell off? And again, anything is possible, y'all. I always say when the bell rings, it's go time. Anything is possible. So NVIDIA is going to be interesting today, y'all. Why? It reports earnings after the bell. So it closed at 953.86, and as of now, this high is 9 55.52. So we are above, yeah, we are under 955. No, we're above. Okay. We are above the closing, yesterday's close. So that's interesting to know, right? So I need to remember this area because it could very well break through that, come back, retest that. That's just a pre-market high that I need to know and remember. So as of now, the support is at 948.30 and the resistance at 950.90. That is our zone. You see prices just trading in that area. We have broken out of that area above the 5 EMA, which is at 953.82. So is Nvidia going to continue climbing? It could very well do that. My concern is, again, we are going to have trouble here at this ATR trailing stop at 957.12 range or 957.05. I would say watch that if I traded Nvidia today, and it looks like it's been consolidating or creating a gathering spot on this 4-hour chart, and it could very well move in either direction. Keep in mind it moves on average $27.69 on a daily basis, and it could go in either direction, that $29. So just be very, very careful. And let's look to the downside. If we break under the 948.46, then support is at 945.47, which is the 50 EMA. And again, it could come back all the way down to the 919.46. So that's something to be mindful of, 919.46. So if I traded Nvidia today, I would definitely watch, above the 5 EMA, above 952.48, looking at it on this 4-hour. Support is going to be at 944.08 if we break that, and 926.50, which brings us to an ATR trail and stop at 923.21. So I would definitely watch those areas today and be careful. Again, you expect a lot of movement because it does report earnings today. So I would say carefully trade what you see, right? So AMD is our next one. We have a lot of inside day candles also, so I'll just do the triggers for those. But right now, AMD the support was right here at 164.40 and resistance I had at 164.92. And as you can see, we have broken through that and creating another gathering spot, which is right here at 165.39. And it seems as if we are breaking 165.81. So I would watch AMD in this area, 165.39. And I previously had the 165.66, but we have broken through the 165.66 to test the 165.81. Just know that we're going to have trouble at this ATR trail and stop at 166.06. So that's a trouble place as of now, right? So again, anything is possible. It looks like it wants to continue to the upside. The 5 and the 50 has crossed to the upside. That is a bullish signal for me. So above the 166.16, I would just know we're going to have trouble at 166.35 and again at 166.99. So if I traded AMD, I would definitely watch those levels on this 1-hour chart. We kind of see the same. We've been trading in a zone and we broke out of that zone. So that 165, above the 165.81 and that 166.35 again, and 167 or 166.99 are going to be places that we could very well have trouble. And be mindful that AMD, I believe the ATR changed on that one also. The AMD normally moves $4.98 on a daily basis, and keep in mind, it can do what it does. To me, AMD reminds me of Tesla for some reason, because when you look at it one day, it's this way, and when you look at it again, it's a totally different look. So I would just say be very, very careful. If I traded these today, I would be very careful. So let's look at some inside day candles really, really quick, y'all. And we'll go back to the SPY and Tesla just to do like a recap. So as of now, AI is an inside day. And if it breaks above 26.35, then the target is 26.58. To the downside, if it breaks below 25.78, then the target is 25.76. And AI normally moves $1.04 on a daily basis, right? So CCL, Carnival Cruise Line, is an inside day candle. Let's get the trigger for that. If it breaks above the 1621, then 1624 is the target. To the downside, if it breaks below 1585, then 1532 is the target, and it moves on average 42 cents per day. Now, Carvana is an inside week So be mindful of that. The inside week trigger 124.58. Above that gives 129 as the target. To the downside, below 115.53, which we are under that. 115.53 gives us a target of 112.72. So it looks like Carvana is trading to the downside, and we are looking at it on the daily chart, and it moves on average $8.28 per day. So in phase is another inside day candle, and the target to the upside, if it breaks above 113.34, then the target is 114.79. To the downside, below 110.98, then the target is, let's see, 110.67. So in phase normally moves about $5.57 per day. I would say trade carefully. And y'all, ain't GameStop, GME, is an inside day candle, which is interesting because it was just $80 last week, right? So if it breaks above 22.85, then the target is 23.40. If it breaks below 20.04, then the target is 18.94. So 18.94 from $80 to 18.94, which is really, really interesting. I always say trade carefully if you trade GME. Google, Alphabet, GOOG, is an inside day candle, and those targets are really, really close. Above 179.82, the target is 179.99. Below 177.37 gives us a target of 177.23, and it moves on average $3 per day. So I would say trade carefully. JP Morgan is another inside day candle. 199.92 is the trigger. Above that gives a target of 205.88. 196.58 under that gives us a target of 195.39. JP Morgan normally moves about $3.55 per day. I always say y'all trade carefully. And Mara is an inside day candle for today. So above 22.52 gives us a target of 22.81. Below 21.14 gives us a target of 18.87. Mara normally moves an average of $1.82 per day. And SOUN, SOUN, is inside day. So to the upside, above 536 gives a target of 551. Below 511 gives a target of 502. Keep in mind, it normally moves about 51 cents per day. I always say, y'all, trade what you see and do not rush into your trade. So those are some of our inside day candles. We're going to go back to the SPY just to see where we are and how it's moving thus far. Again, sometimes it takes a while for those to load, but the market should be interesting today, in my opinion. Again, we do have information, the Fed minutes coming out, so it could send us back to the upside. Again, SPY is still trading, in our gathering spot. It looks like it wants to break out of that area, so it just made a high here of 530.69, but it needs to clear above this 50 EMA and the 20 EMA, so it needs to stay above 530.87, which we're going to have trouble at 530.96. So be mindful of that. I always ask myself, where am I going to have trouble? So you have to learn to identify your trouble places, and I use the moving averages and the ATR trail and stop to help me with that, right? So looking at Tesla has been back in our zone. We are under that for what we had marked as the 183.47 was our support. We are under that. We have tested it twice. Is that going to give us a double top to where we continue to the downside? So Tesla under 182.11 could very well continue us to the downside of 181.09, which is the ATR trail and stop and the 50 EMA, y'all. So I always say, y'all, trade carefully. Do not rush into your trades. Allow your trades to come to you, and make sure you have other confirmations as to why you're entering your trades. So again, I do these videos just to give an idea of overall how the market is looking pre-market. Again, the bell rings, it's game time. Everything could possibly change. Again, it's just a guide, right? So I like to say, y'all, I hope that everyone have a very productive day, a very prosperous day. Listen, very prosperous day, and let me say that. But I always like to leave you with this, right? Be blessed as well as a blessing unto others, y'all. Until next time.